If you know me personally, you'll know that I'm a major fan of One Piece. A huge contributor as to why this is my favorite anime mainly has to do with the variety of characters. In every anime, it feels like as if they consist of only one style and they copy and paste with a different hairstyle and eye color. Of course, other anime such as Soul Eater and Cowboy Bebop has definitely utilized a unique style design for each character. It's undeniable, however, that One Piece definitely holds the crown for diversity here.
King of the Pirates? More like King of Designs.
That was a bad joke, I'm really sorry. In this video, we're going to have a look at my top favorite 11 One Piece characters. There's no real rules here. Some will be Straw Hats, antagonists, allies, dead, alive, manga, anime, game, overrated characters, underrated characters, whatever. Just keep in mind that this is a list that is subject to change. I am not entirely caught up with the series, and I might learn something new that might make this video outdated. Some characters on the list used to annoy me and piss me off, so just because I don't mention a certain character doesn't mean I dislike them. So, anyway, here are my top 11 favorite characters from One Piece. Number 11, Skybreeder Ohm. Out of the 4 holy priests in the Skypiea arc, Ohm seems to be the one that caught my attention the most. Although he is not very talkative, nor is he really reserved either, he's still very mysterious. Listen to what he has to say about war.
I don't understand. Why do men choose to fight when they must know how fragile their lives are?
I'm not really sure.
Man was put here to find happiness. Yet time after time, they throw themselves into battle, only to lose their lives, along with the joy they struggled so hard to find. What a strange and tragic thing is man's nature.
And what is his solution for that?
There is only one way to be redeemed. And that is for all men to die.
Oh, please, sir, you don't really mean that, do you? This is bad!
Only losing your life will save you from all your earthly desires.
Yeah, something doesn't quite fit here. After all, the reason why these Shandorian warriors are fighting is to reclaim their land that the Skypian god 400 years ago stole from them. Sounds like another story I've heard of before. Regardless, his weird and twisted morals mixed with his combat skills with iron clouds make him an interesting character indeed. Number 10, Bartholomew Kuma. Imagine, if you will, if you had the ability to compress so much air into one place that you could use it to push somebody that you dislike on the other side of the world. Meet one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Bartholomew Kuma. Kuma, as a Bible-thumping privateer cyborg designed by Dr. Vegapunk, who is actually mysterious in his own terms, Kuma actually obeys the orders that are given to him by the government without question. There's a lot of mystery that goes into this man. Apparently, he used to be a revolutionary, and at one point was feared by many to be coined the nickname Tyrant. While One Piece tends to foster a ton of supernatural powers in the story, nothing really stood out as much as Kuma. Sure, we had Frankie, but at least he was still a person. Kuma doesn't seem to show any form of emotion, and it's rather chilling to the bone. Not to mention that there are many clones of this person. You heard me right, there are clones of this guy. Clones, I might add, that shoot lasers out of their mouth. Who knows why he became a dog of the state? I would definitely love to learn more as the story goes on. Number 9, Emporio Ivankov. Right off the bat, I want to point out that this guy reminds me of Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Speaking of revolutionary, Ivankov is my favorite of the known army as it is. See, not much of the revolutionary army is known as we speak. We know that they're an anarchist group that holds a deep grudge against the government. Their reasonings are vague, as they are against the government oppression and things like that. There's not really a specific pinpointed reason right now, but we can assume that it will be elaborated in the future in One Piece. Ivankov has a close relationship with Dragon, which is Luffy's father, and the leader of the army, and a former relationship with Kuma, as stated before. What attracted me to his or her was his or her devil fruit power to manipulate hormones. This means that he or she can tend to injuries by raising their hormone levels or give them a complete sex change. How cool is that? This is one of my favorite scenes from the manga. Go ahead and pause the video if you want to read it. Number 8, Dr. Harrowlook. About 6 years ago, under the tyrannical rule of the Drum Kingdom, Dr. Harrowlook was one of the last doctors to serve within the land after the practice of medicine has been outlawed by King Wapol. But that didn't stop Dr. Harrowlook, even though his methods were rather questionable. He adopted Chopper as his son and raised him to be a kind-hearted doctor. The doctor's dream was to create cherry blossoms and to cure the land's sickness of the heart. Yeah, I didn't quite get that one either when I first heard of it. I think this was his way of saying that he wanted to lift up the spirits of the citizens of Drum because no one was really happy under King Wapol's rule. One day, King Wapol declared his private MDs to be fatally ill. Having already consumed a poisonous mushroom, the doctor rushes to the castle to find that Wapol had just set a trap for him. Just for him. The doctor was pleased instead of shocked to see that the private MDs were actually healthy, and he said to Wapol his dying last words.
Hey, when do you think a person dies? When a bullet from a pistol pierces his heart? No. When he's attacked by an incurable disease? No. When he eats a soup of deadly poisonous mushrooms? No! A man dies when people forget him. Even if I should disappear right now, my dream will come true. And when it does, the citizen's sickness of the heart will be cured as well. You're crying. Why, Dalton?
Is that true for a country?
Yeah, if the will to do it is passed on.
This scene not only brought tears to my eyes when I first read it, but I could not get over his choice of last words. Either way, when Luffy defeats Wapol, his cherry blossoms bloom all over Drum Kingdom, thus a happy ending has occurred. Number 7, Arlong. When I first started watching One Piece, it was when the 4Kids dub was being aired in 2004, exactly a decade ago. At the time, I figured that censorship was a thing because no show had that much violence without blood, so without knowing that copies of the manga were being sold in Barnes & Noble, even though there were only like 6 volumes at that time, I went online to a cheap MSN account where somebody had really choppy English translations of over 100 chapters at a time. When I had reached Arlong's arc, I instantly realized how much I enjoyed reading One Piece. Ichiro Oda definitely created a truly evil character, and boy, did I despise his fish guts. Arlong and his crew came from the Grand Line to terrorize the island of Kokoyashi. They taxed the citizens based on how many people they had in their household, only to discover that Nami's household was unable to compensate for Bellamere, who eventually was executed. Ever since, Arlong has played this game with Nami's head to get her to hopelessly plunder for treasure from all sorts of other different kinds of pirates one day at a time until she could buy her own village back. While Arlong claims to have kept his word, he would pay Nezumi, a marine captain of the 16th branch, to keep quiet about the activity going on among the pirates. Arlong was virulently racist against humans, which was also pretty heavy for 4Kids to dub on his own. I hear that Arlong has an even deeper impact on the story in the Fishman Island arc, and I'm sure that Arlong had an elaborate past, but I'm going to wait until I reach that point. I hear there will be this Hody Jones character that makes Arlong look like nothing, but I'll have to wait and see. Number 6, Frankie, also known as Cutty Flam. At first, I didn't like Frankie. He's arrogant, cocky, full of himself, and extremely annoying. However, after a while, I ended up enjoying him as a character and as a Straw Hat. He has a very keen sense of camaraderie with those he loves, and that's something a lot of people in this world can learn from. Frankie is very resourceful and rather talented in his abilities to build ships. After all, he is a cyborg. His past has definitely left an impact on me, showing me that even the biggest douchebags can have quite a lot of baggage. no pun intended. Eventually, I ended up hating Iceberg, his brother. Iceberg is too cynical for my taste, and constantly bashing his brother for things he had no control over was a real turnoff for me. Compare and contrast, you know. Number 5, Mont Blanc Noland. This was the time where I realized that One Piece was a carefully crafted story. There's a lot of detail that go into the story writing that most likely we never get to see, and the story of Mont Blanc Noland is a great example of just that. This is one story that I'm going to keep spoiler free so that I don't go too deep into it. Nolan was around 400 years ago before the current story and did lots of great things such as fighting sea monsters and curing the sick. However, one day he was executed for lying to the public about a place that he had visited, but he stood by his word to the very end. Was he telling the truth? Again, spoiler free, so I'll leave it for you to find out. Nolan is really high on this list, but I can't talk about him without spoiling his story. It's something I would suggest for you to see for yourself in order for you to have the full impact as to what a great character he is. Moving on. Number 4, Crocodile. Another sociopath on my list. Crocodile is not only my favorite of the 7 warlords, but he is also my favorite antagonist. Everything about him screams insane. He owned a criminal organization called Baroque's Work that was created for the sole purpose of not only pillaging an entire country, but taking over it. Crocodile reminded me a lot of Hitler, because Hitler was very manipulative of the citizens and the public opinions. Crocodile started an all-out civil war among the people of Alabasta, causing many to die in the name of his own personal gain. That's sick! Also, he didn't trust anyone but himself. Yeah, can you believe that? Although, I can't argue, because being that a lot of people are very gullible, and they'll put their trust into the worst kinds of people. Though, it was a little chilling to see that he couldn't trust even his own subordinate. Then again, Nico Robin did try to kill him. No surprise there. Number 3, Gold D. Roger. We don't get to see or hear about this guy very much, yet he is the reason the story exists. Here's what we do know about him. At one point he was king of the pirates. He had a son named Ace, whom the government was vastly afraid of, strictly because of his bloodline, and Roger was in possession of the legendary One Piece. Whenever we're seeing Roger, he always had a wicked grin on his face, as if he knew that he was going to cause something big to happen. My all-time favorite scene from One Piece was where they executed him, and just after they executed him, the whole world heard his last words and they cheered on. Notice the smile on his face, knowing that he had just died, but he had started something completely new. That something, my friends, was the new age of piracy. Who knows what the One Piece is, but the will of the D will live on for another day. Insert dick joke here. Number 2, Nico Robin. Robin is probably the most complicated character in the series, and in my opinion. She is also a character I definitely pay close attention to, because she's an archaeologist, and she seems to know a lot about the poneglyphs and the behavior of the history of the world government, which means that she may end up discovering something that may have something to do with the Pluton, Poseidon, the Emerald City, the One Piece, whatever other crazy legends there are out there. I admit, her childhood flashback broke my heart. It destroyed me. To see such a reserved character have such a corrupt background really demonstrates that some of the most quiet people have a lot to say. I won't spoil her past because, similarly to Noland, I would prefer that you watch it for yourself so that way you get the full impact. It's definitely a good one to watch. And here's a list of honorable mentions. Zoro, Luffy, Bon Clay, Ace, Kuro, Blackbeard, Gin, Doflamingo, Trafalgar Law, Tony Chopper, Capone Beige, Lightbeard, Bellamere, Shanks, and Patty. Yes, Patty. I like Patty. He has an accent. And the number 1 person that takes this list is Usopp. Now, before you dislike this video, hear me out. Usopp is by far the most unique character of all of the Straw Hat Pirates. He's not the strongest, nor is he the coolest. He's nowhere near badass, but he's definitely the most interesting. I think that he also has some of the most character development in the whole story. They don't necessarily symbolize it too much, but it's there. When you first meet Usopp, he's a liar, a fraidy cat, and all around useless. And now, he's a liar and a fraidy cat, and well, okay, that's not entirely true. See, his goal aboard the ship was to become a brave warrior of the sea. He didn't want to draw the map of the world. He didn't want to search for the all blue or become king of the pirates. Other than Zoro, I felt that Usopp is the only other one on the ship who wanted to improve himself. That's not to say that trying to become the best doctor is superficial or anything. I just think more people, such as myself, can relate to a liar than somebody who is a swordsman. When Usopp left the crew, you could tell he was very conflicted. He didn't want to leave the crew because he knew that they were the only outlet that gave him room to grow. However, he did so because they were going to replace the ship he got from a really close friend of his. When he found out that they were going to save Robin, he hid behind a mask so that he could save his friend without any guilt. After that, he realized that by lying and holding up an act, he won't solve any of his problems in the long run. He rejoins the crew with a humble apology and boards the new ship that is no longer his. Now, watching him at his best, he may be a liar and a coward, but he's grown to be a very resourceful and critical thinker, so he's definitely not useless. When he understands the situation, he is full of confidence and faces his fears, so his fears are never really too irrational. I think Usopp is well on his way to becoming a brave warrior of the sea. He has some fine-tuning to work on, but he's bound to make his dream come true. And he has a big nose. That's it for this countdown. Let me know what you think in the comments section below, and tell me who is your favorite character in the series. If you like this video, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, friend, I don't know, just do whatever. Later.